Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever found yourself in that frustrating spot where you know all the English grammar rules, you've memorized countless vocabulary words, but when it's time to actually speak, your brain just sort of hits a wall?
Hmm.
Or maybe you're stuck in this constant kind of exhausting loop of translating every single thought from your native language into English before you can even utter a single sentence.
Yeah, that's incredibly common, a real bottleneck for so many people.
It really is. Well, today we're taking a deep dive into a profoundly insightful concept that promises, maybe, a direct pathway around that very problem.
Sounds intriguing.
We're zeroing in on an idea encapsulated by this powerful statement: brain training for English fluency, how to think in English fast.
Right.
Now, this isn't just about accumulating more words or rules, is it? It sounds like it's about fundamentally rewiring how your mind processes and generates a new language.
Exactly. It implies a deeper, more transformative approach to language acquisition. It's quite striking how this title immediately shifts our perspective. We move away from simply acquiring language, which often implies, a passive intake of information.
Like filling a bucket.
Precisely. To actively training our cognitive processes, which suggests a deliberate, systematic effort.
Training. That word feels key.
It is. And if we consider the broader implications, it suggests that true fluency isn't merely about the breadth of what you know, but crucially, how your brain utilizes that knowledge with speed and precision in real time.
Okay.
So, our mission in this deep dive is really to unravel the profound implications of this statement. We need to break down what brain training truly signifies in this linguistic context,
Got it.
what fluency genuinely entails beyond just basic correctness, and how thinking fast serves as the critical bridge, maybe the essential mechanism, connecting these two powerful ideas.
So if you're someone listening who genuinely yearns for that effortless flow in English, or, really in any new language you're trying to master, prepare yourself for some genuine aha moments,
I think
hopefully.
so.
We're going to meticulously dissect this concept piece by piece, helping you understand not just what this approach suggests, but fundamentally why it matters and how it could revolutionize your own language journey.
Let's do it.
Decoding brain training in a linguistic context.
All right, let's jump right into the first pillar of this concept, brain training. This immediately sounds different from, say, sitting in a traditional language class, doesn't it?
It really does.
When you hear brain training in the context of learning English, what kind of imagery or actions does that conjure up for you? Is it like mental push ups?
Huh, maybe. But what's particularly insightful about the title's phrasing is that deliberate choice of training over more conventional terms like studying or learning.
Right, that distinction feels important.
It is, because training immediately implies an active, systematic, and often repetitive approach aimed at reshaping neural pathways, the very physical architecture of our brains.
Reshaping pathways.
Yeah. It signals that language acquisition isn't just about passively receiving input like endlessly memorizing vocabulary lists or drilling grammar rules in isolation.
Which can feel pretty dry sometimes.
Exactly. It's much more about actively engaging the brain in specific targeted ways, much akin to how an athlete physically trains for a sport.
Okay, I like that analogy.
Think about it. When you train for a marathon, for example, you don't just read books about running mechanics or watch videos of races, do you?
No, you actually have to run a lot.
You actually run
Okay.
consistently and systematically, gradually increasing distance and intensity, building physiological stamina, and refining muscle memory. The powerful implication for language is precisely similar.
So it's about building mental stamina.
Mental stamina, improving cognitive processing speed, and developing linguistic muscle memory, moving beyond mere intellectual understanding to embodied automatic performance.
Automatic performance.
Yes, it's an ongoing, dynamic process of neural adaptation, not just knowing, but doing
Yeah.
automatically.
That distinction between studying and training is incredibly powerful. So, if we're talking about training, does that inherently imply routines, consistent repetition, and actively building mental muscle memory? maybe even, like you said, new neural pathways.
Hmm.
And crucially, how is this approach fundamentally different from simply immersing yourself in a language environment? Or perhaps just doing traditional grammar exercises? Because when I hear training, I picture a structured regimen, something you actively do to cultivate a specific capability.
Right.
That sounds distinctly different from passively being surrounded by a language or just filling out worksheets.
You've hit on a critical distinction there. This approach indeed moves far beyond passive absorption. Brain training in this context refers to specific cognitive exercises meticulously designed to strengthen the mental processes directly involved in language use.
Okay, specific exercises, like what, for example?
Well, think of it as developing highly specialized skills.
Hmm.
Processing speed, which is how quickly your brain can interpret incoming English and formulate an appropriate, timely response.
Right, keeping up in a fast conversation.
Exactly. Then there's automatic recall, which is the ability to access the right vocabulary and grammatical structures without conscious effort, without hesitation, or that laborious searching feeling.
Oh, I know that feeling.
We all do. And pattern recognition, which allows you to intuitively grasp sentence structures, identify idioms, understand natural phrasing, and predict what comes next in a conversation.
So it's not just knowing the pieces, but how they fit together instantly.
Precisely. These aren't just pieces of information. They are active, performative skills. Much like a concert pianist trains their fingers to play complex pieces without consciously thinking about each note.
Okay.
Traditional exercises often test your existing knowledge, right?
Yeah.
They confirm what you already know.
Yeah, like a quiz.
In contrast, brain training aims to alter the underlying neural architecture that uses that knowledge, making the application of knowledge faster and more automatic.
Alter the architecture. That sounds significant.
It is, and this raises an important question for any language learner. What existing mental habits might we need to consciously unlearn or bypass to truly train our brains for a new language?
Unlearn. Like what?
Often, our native language has created these deeply ingrained automatic pathways for thought and expression. Effective training is about forging new, independent, and more efficient ones specifically for English, sometimes actively inhibiting the old ones.
So the deeper implication is that our brains might have these, I don't know, deeply established default settings or operating systems optimized for our native language.
Very efficient ones.
And brain training is essentially about recalibrating or even installing a new optimized version for English.
Mm,
It's like our brain's internal GPS is hardwired to process everything through language A, and we need to install a direct route for language B.
exactly. That's a
Yeah.
great way to put it. Our brains are incredibly efficient at forming habits, and once a pathway is established, it becomes the default.
God.
For many second language learners, that deeply ingrained default habit is to process information first through their native language.
Yeah. The translation step.
Yes, you hear an English phrase, your brain automatically, maybe instantaneously, translates it to your native tongue for comprehension. Then you formulate your intended response in your native tongue, and then you translate that back into English before you can utter a sound.
Exhausting, just thinking about it.
It is exhausting. It creates a significant cognitive bottleneck, a constant mental detour. Brain training, as we're discussing it, implies a deliberate, active, and consistent effort to forge new, direct connections within the brain, bypassing that laborious intermediary step.
No middleman.
No middleman. It's
Yeah.
about creating new, English-centric automatic responses, where an English concept or an incoming English phrase directly triggers an English word or an English response.
Wow.
This is where it gets really interesting, as it hints at the extraordinary neuroplasticity of the brain, its remarkable capacity to adapt, restructure, and form new connections in response to new linguistic demands, given focused and consistent effort.
So our brains can literally change shape based on this training.
In a manner of speaking, yes. The connections can strengthen, weaken, or form anew. It's a profound testament to our brain's inherent ability to rewire itself for new skills.
It truly sounds less like memorizing from a textbook and much more like investing in a gym membership for your brain specifically for language.
That's it.
To use a physical analogy, You wouldn't expect to successfully run a marathon just by reading extensively about running theory, right?
Absolutely not.
You have to physically train, you have to put in the miles, build cardiovascular endurance, develop muscle memory for the specific movements of running. You go to the gym, you lift weights to build strength. You don't just read about weightlifting. Is that a strong parallel for what brain training implies in language?
That's an excellent, indeed, probably a perfect analogy. Just as physical training meticulously breaks down complex movements into their component parts, squats for leg strength, push ups for chest and core,
Right, targeted exercises.
brain training suggests breaking down intricate linguistic processes into distinct trainable elements. It's about methodically developing the underlying cognitive architecture necessary for language rather than simply accumulating surface level knowledge.
Can you give an example, like instead of just memorizing verb tenses?
Sure. So instead of merely memorizing the past tense forms of a verb from a list, brain training might involve exercises that specifically force rapid automatic use of past tense in various spontaneous contexts. Maybe timed drills, maybe storytelling prompts, embedding that grammatical structure deeper than mere rote memorization.
So you're practicing the use of it under pressure.
Exactly. Or instead of just learning a new vocabulary word by translating it, training might involve repeatedly linking that English word directly to an image, a feeling, or a concept, intentionally bypassing any native language translation.
Building a direct link, concept to English word.
Yes, this fundamental neural infrastructure, once robustly developed, then becomes the silent automatic support system for the spontaneous and effortless communication that truly defines fluency. It's about building the fundamental neural pathways that transform conscious, laborious effort into unconscious, effortless habit,
Effortless habit. That sounds like the dream.
defining the aspiration English fluency.
Okay, so now that we've really unpacked brain training as the method, let's hone in on the ultimate goal of this entire system, English fluency.
Right, the destination.
We often default to thinking of fluency as simply speaking without mistakes, or perhaps having an incredibly vast vocabulary. But is that the full nuanced picture, especially when we talk about it in the context of brain training and thinking fast?
Hmm.
Because I know many individuals who are incredibly accurate, grammatically perfect even, but they still struggle to hold a fast-paced, spontaneous conversation or to express their personality fluidly.
That's a crucial observation and a very common one. What's particularly insightful here is that fluency, within the framework of thinking fast, it really transcends mere grammatical accuracy or the sheer volume of your vocabulary.
Okay. So it's more than just correctness.
Much more. While those are certainly foundational components of proficiency, absolutely essential, they don't fully capture the essence of fluency as implied by this title. True fluency is fundamentally about the ease, the naturalness, and the speed with which thoughts, emotions, and intentions are formulated and then expressed in English.
Ease, naturalness, speed.
Okay. It's marked by the profound absence of conscious effort in retrieving words, constructing sentences, or navigating complex grammar. It's feeling truly comfortable, spontaneous, and uninhibited in your communication.
Uninhibited. I like that. Like the brakes are off.
Exactly. Imagine someone attempting to tell a nuanced joke or compelling personal anecdote in a second language. If they have to pause frequently to consciously translate key elements or labor over sentence structure,
The moment's lost.
the moment's lost. The humor, the emotional impact, the very essence of the story is often completely lost. Fluency allows for that instantaneous understanding and seamless, natural delivery, that authentic rhythm and flow of conversation.
Rhythm and flow.
Yes, it's not just about getting it right, but about getting it out effortlessly, naturally, and with full expressive power.
So if I'm understanding correctly, someone could theoretically know all the grammar rules inside out, perhaps even recite them perfectly, and still not be fluent in this deeper sense.
Absolutely, that happens all the time.
If it's not primarily about accuracy, then what does it feel like to truly be fluent? Is it a feeling of profound liberation, maybe? A mental unburdening, perhaps?
Liberation is a good word for it. Fluency in this deeper context is less about simply knowing the language and much more about doing with true spontaneity and without cognitive impediment.
Doing without thinking about the doing.
Precisely. When you're truly fluent, it feels as though your thoughts are directly formulated and translated into English without any intermediate processing step in your native language.
No translation detour.
None. Is that moment when you can effortlessly respond in real time, grasp subtle nuances, participate in witty banter, tell complex jokes, express intricate emotions, and even passionately argue a point, all without conscious effort being diverted to the laborious mechanics of linguistics.
Wow.
It's not merely about speaking words, it's about projecting your true self, your unique personality, your humor, your intellect, your authentic emotions directly into English.
Your actual personality comes through.
Yes, it's the profound sensation of the language flowing through you, becoming an extension of your thought, rather than you painstakingly constructing each sentence word by word, as if assembling a complex puzzle.
Like Legos versus flowing water.
That's a nice image.
Yeah.
And if we consider the broader implications, it points to a deep psychological freedom within the language, a removal of the mental barrier that often prevents deeper engagement and truly authentic self-expression. It's like being able to fully focus on the content and purpose of the conversation, the connection with the other person, rather than constantly being preoccupied with the mechanics of speaking.
This deeper definition of fluency sounds incredibly powerful. But for you, our listener, why should you specifically care about this nuanced understanding of fluency? What tangible benefits does it unlock in the real world beyond just sounding proficient?
Oh, the benefits are huge.
I imagine it has profound implications for both professional advancement and personal connection.
It genuinely unlocks profound connection and significantly expands your world.
Mm.
True fluency, in this sense, allows for deeply authentic conversations, the uninhibited and clear expression of your personal identity, and full, unburdened participation in any English-speaking environment.
Any environment.
Whether it's a social gathering, a professional meeting, or a global conference call. Consider the demands of attending a fast-paced business meeting where you need to quickly grasp complex, rapidly exchanged ideas, contribute spontaneously, negotiate, or influence others.
High stakes, high speed.
Exactly. Or think about a social gathering where engaging in witty banter, sharing personal stories, or expressing empathy requires split-second timing and nuanced linguistic agility.
Things you can't really script.
You can't.
Yeah.
True fluency removes the immense cognitive burden that often accompanies conscious translation, freeing up vast mental resources.
Freeing up brain power.
Lots of it. These freed resources can then be redirected to focus entirely on the content of the conversation itself, the meaning being conveyed, the emotions being shared, the strategic implications, the cultural context.
You're more present.
Much more present. This not only transforms you into a significantly more effective and impactful communicator, but also dramatically reduces the mental exhaustion and fatigue that many language learners experience after prolonged conversations.
Oh, yeah. That brain drain is real.
It is. So this raises a crucial question for anyone on this journey. How does this type of effortless fluency impact one's confidence, their willingness to engage, and their overall sense of belonging in a new linguistic environment?
It must be huge.
The implication is a massive transformative boost, allowing you to not just speak English, but truly live English, feel comfortable, feel like yourself.
The critical mechanism, how to think in English fast.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, I think, and frankly, feels like the core engine driving this entire system. How to think in English fast.
The powerhouse.
We've established brain training as the methodological foundation,
Huh.
right? And English fluency as the ultimate goal. This thinking fast seems to be the indispensable critical mechanism that directly links the two.
It absolutely is.
So, what exactly does it mean to think in English fast? And why is it so absolutely crucial for achieving that effortless fluency we just talked about?
This truly is the nexus, the central pivot point of the entire approach. The primary and often invisible barrier for many language learners isn't necessarily a lack of vocabulary or a poor grasp of grammar or even insufficient exposure. Sometimes people have all those things.
Right.
Instead, it's the deeply ingrained cognitive detour of translating everything from their native language.
That habit again.
That habit. Consider the typical internal process. You receive input in English. Your brain internally translates it to your native language for comprehension. You then formulate your desired response or thought in your native language, and then you consciously or unconsciously translate that response back into English for output.
It's like a three-step process for every single exchange.
At least, this multi-step bidirectional translation process is incredibly inefficient, cognitively taxing, and fundamentally time-consuming. Thinking in English fast means precisely eliminating this intermediate step, completely bypassing that mental middleman.
Getting rid of the translator in your head.
Exactly. It's about developing direct, instantaneous associations between concepts, ideas, and their English linguistic representation, without the need to first convert through one's primary language. When you see a chair, you think chair, not chaise, then chair.
Or whatever your native word is.
Right. When you feel hungry, the thought that forms in your mind is, I'm hungry, not ik habe hunger, then I'm hungry. It's direct, unmediated access, an automatic thought to English pathway.
So that constant, often exhausting inner monologue of translating back and forth, that's what we're trying to extinguish.
That's the target, yes.
Why is that internal translation habit so detrimental beyond just being slow? Does it also affect the quality and naturalness of the English you produce?
Absolutely. It's a huge factor. Mental translation is not just slow and energy consuming, it's also a significant culprit behind unnatural phrasing and less idiomatic expression.
How so?
When you directly translate, you often impose the grammatical structures, word order, and idiomatic expressions of your native language onto English. This leads to awkward, stiff, or even grammatically incorrect sentences that just don't sound natural to a native speaker.
Like word-for-word translations of idioms that make no sense.
Exactly that, or just sentence structures that feel clunky in English because they mirror your native language's patterns. So fast here isn't just about speaking quickly in terms of words per minute.
Right, not just speed talking.
No, it's about the speed of cognitive processing, the speed at which your brain comprehends, formulates, and produces. It's about achieving automaticity, where the thought or concept directly surfaces in English without conscious, effortful intervention.
Automaticity, like breathing.
Ideally, yes. This dramatically reduces what psychologists call cognitive load, the amount of mental effort and working memory required to perform a task.
Cognitive load.
Okay. When you're constantly engaged in internal translation, a significant, often overwhelming portion of your mental resources are tied up in that laborious process. This leaves significantly less bandwidth for truly understanding nuance, reacting quickly in conversation, expressing complex or abstract ideas, or engaging emotionally.
So you're juggling too many balls mentally.
You are. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about making communication feel effortless, spontaneous, and intuitive rather than a constant, mentally exhausting puzzle. It's the difference between trying to solve a complex math problem by hand, meticulously writing out every single intermediate step.
Which takes forever and is prone to errors.
Right. Versus having a powerful calculator that instantly provides the correct answer, freeing you to focus on the problem's larger context and meaning.
That sounds almost revolutionary, the idea of simply thinking in English without that translation step. For anyone who's grappled with this, the concept of direct English thought feels almost mythical, like acquiring a superpower.
It can feel that way when you first grasp it.
What would that experience truly feel like? Is it a sudden light bulb moment or something that happens more gradually over time?
It's rarely a single dramatic light bulb moment like flipping a switch, though many learners describe clear, exhilarating breakthroughs or clicks along the way.
Aha, moments.
Yes, more commonly, it's a gradual accumulating shift. You start noticing it in small ways. Perhaps you're planning your grocery list in English without consciously deciding to.
Ah,
Or you find yourself having an internal monologue in English about your day. It means the ideas for your dreams might even form directly in English.
dreaming in English, people talk about that.
They do. Or you react spontaneously to unexpected events using English expressions, or you even find yourself internally expressing frustration or joy directly in English
Without planning it.
without planning it. It's when you begin to form opinions, process daily observations, or even mentally rehearse conversations using English words and structures without consciously choosing to do so because it has become your brain's efficient default.
The new default setting.
Exactly. It's a profound shift from being a language user who is constantly mediating their thoughts through another language to becoming a true speaker of the language, where English becomes an integral, natural part of your cognitive framework, a direct channel to your thoughts and
But
feelings.
does this mean you, like, lose your native language? That sounds scary.
No, not at all. That's a common concern, but unfounded. It's about creating a parallel, independent, and highly efficient direct pathway specifically for English. Your native language pathways remain strong and accessible for when you need them.
Okay, good.
But now English has its own distinct, equally direct, and highly optimized route for thought and expression. It's additive, not subtractive.
This concept of moving from conscious effort to unconscious automaticity immediately reminds me of learning to drive a stick shift.
Ah, yes.
At first, you're acutely aware of every single step. Clutch in, shift, gas, release clutch smoothly, don't stall. It's incredibly conscious, often clunky, and quite nerve-wracking.
Absolutely. Very mechanical.
But eventually, after enough practice, it just becomes automatic. You don't even think about the individual steps anymore. Your hands and feet just do it seamlessly. Is that a strong analogy for this transition to thinking fast in English?
It is an absolutely perfect analogy, perhaps one of the most fitting.
Oh, good.
Initially, every linguistic action you undertake in a new language feels conscious and laborious. You're consciously selecting each word, painstakingly applying grammar rules, laboring to translate phrases from your native tongue. Thinking in English fast is the linguistic equivalent of reaching that automatic, fluid state, much like the seasoned stick shift driver.
The gears just mesh.
The gears of your mind shift seamlessly without conscious effort, just as that experienced driver can navigate complex, demanding traffic while simultaneously holding a nuanced conversation.
Right. They're not thinking about the clutch anymore.
No, a truly fluent English speaker can focus entirely on the meaning, the nuance, and the interpersonal dynamic of the conversation because the mechanics of language comprehension and production are operating on an automatic, unconscious level.
Freeing up all that mental energy.
Exactly. This liberation of cognitive resources is transformative. It frees up your mental capacity for deeper understanding, for more nuanced and authentic self expression, for empathy, and for genuine human connection. The effort shifts profoundly from how to construct what you want to say to simply focusing on what you want to say and why.
Which is the whole point of communication, really.
It is, and it's a truly liberating and empowering experience.
This synergy. Connecting brain training to fast English thinking for fluency?
So, we've thoroughly explored brain training as the methodology, the how to. We've delved into thinking in English fast as the critical cognitive mechanism, the engine. And we've defined English fluency as the overarching goal, the destination.
Right, the three core components.
Now, let's bring it all together. How do these three distinct yet deeply interconnected pieces of the puzzle fit together to create a cohesive, powerful system? If you were to draw a conceptual diagram, what would the relationship look like? Is it linear? A cycle?
It's definitely more of a cycle, a dynamic system.
Hmm.
If we connect this to the broader picture, the title itself lays out a complete interdependent system, almost a virtuous cycle of language mastery.
Okay, a virtuous cycle. Explain that.
Brain training represents the methodology. It's the intentional, structured, and consistent effort aimed at actively resculpting the brain's linguistic pathways.
The gym workout.
The workout, yes. This includes building entirely new neural connections optimized for English while simultaneously strengthening existing ones and, crucially, weakening those old, inefficient native language translation pathways.
Actively weakening the old habits.
Sometimes, yes. The primary objective or immediate outcome of this rigorous brain training is to enable thinking in English fast. That's the critical cognitive shift we just discussed, the ability to bypass that internal translation detour and access English directly.
So training leads to thinking fast.
Directly. And the result, the ultimate outcome of this fast, direct thought process, this reduced cognitive load, is the effortless and natural state of English fluency.
And thinking fast leads to fluency.
Right. It's a clear, logical cause and effect chain, but it loops back. Effective and targeted brain training fundamentally leads to the ability to think directly and rapidly in English, which in turn leads to genuine, spontaneous, and unburdened fluency.
Like building that high-speed train line you mentioned.
Exactly. Think of it as constructing a dedicated high-speed railway line directly between your thoughts and English expression, intentionally bypassing all the old, slow, and indirect connecting routes you used to rely on.
That's a wonderfully clear way to visualize it. So essentially, the more you actively train your brain to think directly in English,
Uh-huh.
the faster and more natural that cognitive process becomes, which then in turn makes you more profoundly fluent.
Precisely.
It sounds less like a linear climb towards a fixed endpoint and more like a virtuous cycle, a self-reinforcing loop that builds on itself and gains incredible momentum over time.
Exactly. This is where the magic of neuroplasticity truly shines. Each successful instance of thinking directly in English, each moment you manage to bypass that translation step, subtly reinforces those new neural connections.
Like paving that road a little smoother each time?
A perfect addition to the analogy. These connections become stronger, more efficient, and more easily activated with every repetition. The training aspect strengthens the mental muscle of direct English thought, enabling increasingly fast execution.
Okay.
This improved speed and automaticity then directly lead to greater fluency, a more effortless, spontaneous, and confident use of the language.
And feeling more fluent makes you feel good, more confident.
Yes, this increased fluency and confidence, in turn, encourages you to seek out and engage in even more practice and interaction, closing the loop.
Ah, so it feeds itself.
It creates a powerful, self-perpetuating positive feedback loop that dramatically accelerates your progress.
Mm.
More training, faster to thinking, greater fluency, more confidence, more practice, more training.
Got it. But it's not instant.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
It's critical to understand that this isn't a quick fix, a simple hack, or a single magic bullet. It's a deep, gradual transformation built on consistent, targeted, and often uncomfortable effort, especially at the start.
Uncomfortable how?
Because you're fighting ingrained habits. It might feel slower or harder initially to force yourself not to translate.
Right. Pushing through that initial difficulty.
Yes, this raises an important question for the learner. What kind of sustained conscious effort does this imply? It means actively and consciously engaging in activities and mental exercises that force you to think directly in English, even when it feels challenging or initially slower than translating.
Sticking with it.
Sticking with it. It's an ongoing commitment to actively reshaping your brain's most fundamental linguistic habits.
So, wrapping this all up, what does this comprehensive understanding of brain training for English fluency, how to think in English fast, truly mean for you, our listener, if you're actively striving to become fluent?
Hmm.
It sounds like it's about much more than just endless vocabulary drills or passively watching English movies, although those have their place.
They do, but this is different.
It suggests a far more internal, active, and deeply personal approach to language mastery.
Precisely. It means fundamentally shifting your focus inward to your own cognitive processes and mental habits, rather than solely on external input or rote memorization.
Looking under the hood of your own brain.
In a way, yes. It proposes that true transformative progress in language lies in actively training your mind to operate within the language itself, to generate thoughts, understand nuances, and formulate responses directly in English rather than constantly mediating through another language.
Operating within English.
Exactly. This paradigm is incredibly powerful, and its implications could even extend far beyond language learning. It offers a robust model for how we can develop other complex skills that inherently require automaticity, fluid execution, and intuitive understanding.
Like what other skills?
Well, think about mastering a musical instrument. excelling in a complex sport where reactions need to be instant, or even navigating nuanced problem solving in a highly demanding professional context.
Where you need to think on your feet.
Precisely. It's about cultivating a direct, unmediated engagement with the skill itself, streamlining your internal mental architecture to achieve peak performance and effortless mastery. Outro.
Wow. Okay, we've taken a really deep dive into just the title itself, Brain Training for English Fluency, How to Think in English Fast. And what we've uncovered is not just a definition, but a powerful, interconnected roadmap to achieving genuine, effortless English communication.
It really is a roadmap.
It's a profound realization, I think, that true fluency isn't just about the knowledge you possess, the vocabulary lists or grammar rules, but fundamentally about how you train your brain to access and utilize that knowledge with incredible speed and fluidity,
Mhm.
effectively bypassing the old, inefficient habit of translation.
What's truly compelling here, I find, is the profound emphasis on internal cognitive shifts and the brain's own adaptability, rather than just external methods or information consumption.
It puts the power back in the learner's hands, or rather, their brain.
It does. If we look at the broader implications, it suggests that true mastery in virtually any domain often emerges from meticulously recalibrating our underlying thought processes,
Yeah.
from actively sculpting our minds for optimal performance.
Sculpting our minds.
It encourages us to look beyond conventional approaches and embrace the brain's extraordinary capacity for adaptation and growth through focused, intentional effort.
So, for you, our listener, as you reflect on this deep dive and the powerful concept we've explored, consider this provocative thought. If our brains possess this incredible capacity to be actively trained to think directly and fast in a completely new language, bypassing old habits,
Yeah.
what other unconscious cognitive habits in your own life, whether it's your approach to problem solving, your strategies for creative thinking, your decision making patterns, or even your automatic emotional responses, might you be able to consciously identify and actively rewire for greater efficiency, more profound impact, and maybe just a greater sense of ease?
Ooh, that's a big question.
It's a truly powerful idea to mull over, isn't it?
Indeed. This really raises an important question. How much of the daily cognitive friction we experience, that feeling of mental struggle, overwhelm, or simply being stuck in various areas of our lives, could be significantly eased or even eliminated if we intentionally applied this brain training mindset to more than just language?
Applying it more broadly, something profound to think about, definitely. We truly hope this deep dive has given you some valuable insights and perhaps a completely new and empowering way to approach your own learning and growth journey.